Today, ABC News warns of another red mirage. Arizona sees massive voting issues, and Florida rejects Biden's federal election monitors. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the News and Why It Matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, and today's episode is brought to you by Healthy Cell. They've got a ton of different supplements to help you with sleep, focus. They've got a great general multivitamin. My family takes it every day. It tastes delicious. You can go to healthycell.com/news. Use promo code NEWS for 20% off of your first order over at healthycell.com/news. It's a big day, ladies and gentlemen. Election day is finally here, and I am joined today by BlazeTV contributor Jaco Booyens, host of The Bottom Line, and also the one and only, in the flesh, live in studio, Steve Deace, of course, BlazeTV host of The Steve Deace Show. We're glad that you're here, Steve.
Always happy to be here. Thank you.
Listen, Jaco is smart, but I am always like, I just want to hear what Steve says about all of these statistics.
We have that in common, Sarah, because Steve always wants to hear what Steve says.
Oh, good. Okay, well then we are going to hear more of what Steve has to say about all of this.
It is that day, he says.
Yes, finally.
We're finally here.
Well, listen, Steve knows this, and I say this when he comes on, but I am a big Steve Deace fangirl, and I listen to his program almost every day. So I've been listening to you talk about all of these states, talk about the election for a long time, and I'm excited to watch it play out with you later tonight with our election coverage that we're doing. Make sure that you guys tune in for that. Yes, there you go. Midterms 2022. If you are not yet a BlazeTV subscriber, you can watch it on BlazeTV. You can also watch it on YouTube, as long as they keep us up there. But you can subscribe today and get $30 off over at blazetv.com/midterms. Guys, what's the promo code? Red Wave? There's a promo code called midterms as well. So back to news of the day as of the time of this taping. I know it's been a wild and crazy day right now, but ABC News published an article claiming Republicans will take an artificial lead during the elections, and a red mirage, another one of those crazy red mirages, will appear just before the Democrats actually win. This article is called "Early Election Night Results Might Not Indicate Final Tallies," and in parentheses it says, "and why that's okay." You cannot even make this up if you tried. So they said an artificial GOP vote lead will likely reoccur Tuesday, and you know how the Lincoln Project defines red mirage. Yep. They said the propaganda technique Republicans use to prime their base for action when they lose races once every vote is counted. It's interesting because they're citing all of these, the states where you have to wait until all of the votes are tallied on election day to start counting the early voting. But I mean, look, if I were a conspiracy theorist, which of course I'm not, if I were, though, I would say maybe they're anticipating that they would then know the exact amount of votes that they would need to, harvest. Massage out of thin air in order to gain ground. But again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so that wouldn't possibly be the case. It's just a figment of our imagination. It's just a red mirage, Steve.
That's not as good as the Politico headline yesterday. Did you see this one?
Yeah. We talked about it.
The voting machines weren't rigged in 2020, but they might be rigged in 2022.
Right. That was debunked in 2020, but it might happen.
These they are.
I'm gonna keep this close by, Steve.
Thank you. This is, I think, going to be way outside what I have called for many years the margin of cheating.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There are some isolated places I would be concerned. I mean, obviously, what's been going on in Maricopa County, but at the same time, you can see why they're running that game. The voting totals coming out of that county are catastrophic. Mm. And it's a shame that they don't have a Secretary of State or somebody like that in Arizona that had a few years to maintain election integrity. Oh wait, she's running for governor! Right? What a coincidence!
What a coincidence!
Yes. I'd be worried in Pennsylvania, but I'm also being told from birdies there that Democrat turnout there is anemic.
It's way too low.
In fact, I'm being told it's anemic nationwide. That they're not hitting numbers all over the place. Not low, like anemic. And so I said a month ago that I didn't think we were going to have a red wave. I thought we were going to have a red tsunami looking at the Hispanic numbers. I mean, what's next after a red tsunami? That's when the Lannisters send their regards. We have a red wedding. And I don't know that we can get there because I think Mitch McConnell spent too much money helping Lisa Murkowski beat another Republican in Alaska rather than funding or some other Senate candidates in places they might have been able to flip or better races in Illinois or California. But this would be the kind of environment where a J.B. Pritzker could lose if there was a stronger candidate there.
So you brought up Maricopa County. I want to play for you a video clip. This is from Jack Posobiec, who shared this on Twitter. Maricopa County experiencing like massive problems since the polls opened, I believe. Here's a clip of that.
So what happens is we have two tabulators. One of the tabulators is not working, okay? The other tabulator is taking about 75% successful. So 25% of them are being misread, and it could be a printer issue, or it could be the tabulator itself. So when it's misread, you have an option to put it into what's called box 3, and it gets read, whether it goes downtown and gets read manually, or whether it gets refed into our tabulator.
You don't want to adjudicate.
They get read, okay? So no one's trying to deceive anybody.
Of course not on election day. That would never happen, right? No, that would never happen.
Now remember, this is the largest voting district in Arizona.
One of the richest counties in the United States of America.
Yes, thank you. And here's another poll worker just saying nothing is working. Watch.
So I pulled my ballot in, it got misread, but then what was happening?
Put it in there.
Yeah.
And tonight, a Republican and a Democrat will sit and go through all of the misread ballots all over the county and count them. And it will get counted.
Okay. And then both machines were not working. Yeah.
No, nothing's working in the last half hour. Nothing.
Thank you.
The chairman of Maricopa County's Board of Supervisors said 20% of voting locations have tabulators that are not working. And of course, the votes will be counted later tonight. Okay, just nothing to see here. Watch.
But there's one thing that we wanted to address to make people aware of today, and that has to do with our tabulators. We've got about 20% of the
you could not write this better
out there
if you tried.
This is waiting for government stuff.
Some of the ballots that after people have voted them, they try and run them through the tabulator, and they're not going through. But the good thing is we do, first of all, we're trying to fix this problem as quickly as possible.
You've got a lot of time,
and we also have a redundancy in place. If you can't put the ballot in the tabulator, then you can simply place it here in where you see the number 3, and this is a secure box where those ballots will be kept for later this evening, where we'll bring them in here to central count to tabulate them.
And he says it's secure. As Steve pointed out, the woman who is in charge of making sure that it is secure is just running for governor. So don't worry, there's no conflict of interest there. I want to show you one more from Maricopa County. This is Turning Point Action Chief Operating Officer Tyler Bowyer, who tweeted out this photo showing his misprinted ballot in Maricopa County. He said, "I just voted in person in Mesa, and this is how it printed. The reader rejected it, and had we not inspected the ballot before voting, we likely would have been told to just leave the ballot behind. The poll chief reprinted a new ballot." She said this is an ongoing issue with the printers. I'm sure this is all just, look, the Democrats say voter fraud is not real. So these are all just crazy coincidences.
Yeah, and especially on the day today. Look, you can expect this. In 2019, we had a question. We were at Liberty University. I was on stage, Charlie Kirk, we had a bunch of guys, David Bratt, and I said, what's the margin? How much do we need to win by to cancel out the gamesmanship, if we can call it that? And we didn't have a number. And I said back then, I bet you it's about 15%. And recently I said probably 20% if they're going to play. Hopefully here, it is the tsunami you're talking about. And it's going to have to be. It needs to be an annihilation, Sarah. And then tomorrow will come. And this is my bigger concern, because I'm with Steve on this. It is going to be maybe not a red wedding, but an annihilation. And then tomorrow will come, and then we need to go to work to make it count and make these votes count. But of course today, as Satan would have it, If you align with Satan, then all his minions run free. They would pull every stop. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a place where there's arson, setting a place on fire.
Like a pipe would burst in a building.
A pipe would burst in a building.
Right.
Yeah, right? A pipe burst. Just today.
Happens all the time in 2022.
Yeah, in 2022, pipes burst every day in these locations. So that's the kind of stuff I'm actually expecting, Sarah. I expected it yesterday. So now watch tomorrow. They'll pull all the stops. But we need to play for it. We need to be prepared for it.
Yeah, yeah. Have our lawyers at the ready. I want to also bring in Mercer County, New Jersey. All voting machines went down earlier today due to what they're calling a glitch. County officials are saying that they're working to fix the issue. There could be a delay in counting ballots this evening.
Now, to be fair, it is New Jersey.
Fair.
Yeah.
Also, to be fair, they are using Dominion machines. But again, nothing to see here.
Still.
I just right.
Still
Thank you.
Dominion
Still
machines.
using Dominion machines. So I want to go back to Pennsylvania. I know, Steve, that you touched on Pennsylvania earlier, but we heard what was this earlier in the week? Or was it last week that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that undated and wrongly dated mail-in ballots should be set aside and not counted because obviously state law requires that the voter handwrite the date on the outer envelope when they return their mail-in ballots. Well, the Fetterman campaign is actually suing Pennsylvania election officials and asking a federal judge to order that all mail-in ballots be counted regardless of what date, if any, voters write on the outside of the envelope. Steve.
It is sort of fitting that a candidate who cannot utter a coherent sentence is counting on votes from people who can't read a calendar and don't know how to properly write what date it is. There's a certain idiocracy. It's got electrolytes. I mean, they serve Brawny at the, everybody drinks it at the Fetterman campaign headquarters, and they're experiencing some technological differences. And his lawyers, they got their law degree from Costco. His dad pulled some strings, but luckily got in. I mean, at this point, there's two options. One of them is where we get black-pilled, okay? The other is, do you just have to mock this mercilessly? It's just so obvious, it's so over the top, okay, that I don't know what else to do. If you're not going to get black-pilled, then the only other thing left to do is just to mock it mercilessly.
That's the option that I prefer.
Yeah, I think because it's so over the top now, they've doubled down, and they kind of have to. Like, there's no recourse. Now it's just like they're all in. It's like once you're all in the poker game, you're all in.
Right.
Then
pot committed.
Then pot committed, bluff hard.
Yeah.
Bluff hard, and they're bluffing hard.
Yeah.
And birds of a feather, right? So yeah, it would be the true deplorables.
It's just so interesting because they claim to care about making sure that elections are fair,
of course,
and all of these things, and then you see them just have absolutely no regard for any of the rules of the election. Again, it's almost like there's just a lot of fortification that is being attempted, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I won't go there. All right, we got to go to break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Tommy John. All right, so Tommy John, the winter is around the corner. Not here in Texas so much because it was really hot and humid today, but I know a lot of places in the country, winter is around the corner. This season, you got to keep cozy everywhere it counts with Tommy John. In Tommy John, you're that much more comfortable, so you can do everything better. And I know this personally because when I get home, I'm like, stop. Kids, you're fighting. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear whatever anyone's problems are until I change into my Tommy Johns because I can deal with the issues. I will be that much more comfortable. Tommy John is literally the softest thing I have ever put on my body. They've got stuff for men. They've got stuff for women. So whatever gender you are, and yes, there's only two, make sure that you go there. Everything is backed by Tommy John's best pair you'll ever wear or its free guarantee. Over at TommyJohn.com/Y, get 20% off of your first order. Over at TommyJohn.com/Y, see site for details. Joe Biden's DOJ. I can't speak today. I'm actually already really tired, so I'm really looking forward to the coverage going into the night. I'm like,
Are we going to get Loopy Sarah?
We are going to get Loopy Sarah. So Biden's regime, the DOJ, sent out election monitors to 64 jurisdictions in 24 states to ensure federal laws are followed throughout Election Day. This is a pretty big increase from 2020 when the DOJ sent out monitors to just 44 jurisdictions. So it's just interesting the particular areas where they picked. This very, very large presence in a lot of key battleground states, including, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and the DOJ wrote in a statement, since the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Civil Rights Division has regularly monitored elections in the field of jurisdictions around the country to protect the rights of voters. The Civil Rights Division will also take complaints from the public nationwide regarding possible violations of federal voting laws through its call center. So, okay, they're saying this is something that they frequently do. That's fine. But the Florida Department of State sent a letter to Joe Biden's DOJ and said basically like, yeah, you guys ain't coming in. Nice try, right? So the DeSantis administration said that they are not permitted, these federal election poll monitors. I want to call them hall monitors, but they're poll monitors.
I'd like to call them something else.
Well, that's fair. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was my attempt at like making a safe joke rather than a joke that you would need the swear jar for.
Yes.
So they said, Florida says they're going to send their own monitors to make sure that there is no interference in the voting process. I would maybe give it to them if there were some sort of complaints or, rumblings about there being something for them to actually investigate. But that's not the case, or am I missing something?
No, it's not the case. And what the DeSantis administration did this morning with this, when this is over, the people that you vote for, they need to peaceably but aggressively hammer away at this stuff. They have to punish this stuff. I just filmed a movie in Oklahoma a year ago, and it was at a maximum security prison. I'm very well aware of the fact they have prisons in Oklahoma. So when a drag queen gets up and begins teabagging children in Bartlesville, Oklahoma,
that's right,
that person needs to be in a cell awaiting arraignment, in 5 minutes, right? When they say we're going to send our goose-stepping stormtroopers in over our dead body, because we have our own police force, we have our own guard, we have our own sheriffs, and the answer, my name is no. My number is no, okay? Hell no is the answer, all right? The people we elect must do this. And there has never been a peaceable transfer of wealth, property, and progeny from one civilization or culture to another in all of human history, and there never will be. And so we need to avoid that event occurring in this country. And the way we avoid it happening is the people we elect enforce the law. They, as Paul would say, bring the sword of righteousness against evildoers. They must do this.
Do you have confidence that they will?
I have more confidence in several places that they will than I've ever had before. Do I have confidence that we will get it in all the places we need? No.
Like Mitch McConnell's not changing his stripes,
correct.
Right? But we could bring in new people who might rile things up. Okay.
Or new governors.
Right.
That's it. I believe you're going to see it happen at the governor level, at the state level, at the county level. Verdict is not in for me whether Congress will actually
You don't believe in Mehmet Oz, Yaku? No?
Look,
no? You don't have a lot of confidence in it if he even
when
wins?
You walk into that great vortex, the black hole called Washington, D.C., the 25 square block, something happens, right? It takes real chutzpah to stand there and actually do something, and there's some. But I want to say this. They say they do this all the time. They send the DOJ poll observers to make sure it's fair and right. They must have just like Jeffrey Epstein's guards fell asleep in 2020 because they were not there then, right? When polling stations were shut down early, when people were told go home and they're standing in line, where were they then? No, they don't always do this. They're selectively now stacking the deck because they understand strategically in some places that red wave is going, and it's an intimidation tactic. And if you don't stand up, like Steve is saying, like a DeSantis saying, you're not coming in, they'll go in. Remember, you have to block them out or they'll come in. So I hope other states do the same.
Yeah. So I want to go to Indiana. Last week, Indiana election officials removed a Democrat poll worker named James Zhang for allegedly pre-selecting Democratic candidates and pressuring citizens to vote for specific candidates. So according to this report, which you can read over at the Daily Wire. The poll worker told a pair of black voters not to vote for pro-parent school board candidates, alleging they were racist after encountering a group of education activists outside the polling station. And after casting their ballots, the pair of voters explained their interaction with the poll worker to the activists, who then approached this particular poll worker about the issue. And then the second incident alleges that this man pre-selected a straight Democrat ticket for a voter under the guise of just explaining the voting machine. So he's like, oh, no, this is how it actually works. Here, I'm going to pre-select a straight Democrat ticket, which actually I'm kind of jealous, because here in Texas, I don't know.
You can't pre-select.
I just wanted to just press just the one button to just vote Republican straight ticket. You can't do it anymore. No. And I'm over there bubbling in, and they're like, make sure you bubble it in all the way. So I'm like bubbling in all the way. I'm like, I can't go out of the lines. I can't miss a spot because I have to make sure that my vote is tabulated.
It was just tap, tap, tap.
Mine was, I had to actually, it was like a Scantron in my county.
Okay.
I don't know. It was different for the primaries, and this time it was a Scantron.
Steve, please explain something to me.
Yeah, I know.
Because you truly have a lot of wisdom. It's 2022, and we have made no advancements in our election process to actually truly combat. It must be because some want to cheat. Still Dominion machines. Still, I mean, come on.
Who, unless you're like, you know what? The world needs more Left Behind movies.
Yeah.
Who goes and hires a global conglomerate to oversee their elections called Dominion?
From another country.
Like if I submitted that script to a publisher and the liberals hired a company called Dominion to take over the election, they'd be like, did a fifth grader come up with this plot? Okay. Except it's where we live.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And I call it demonic trolling.
Yeah.
Like they at this point, they think we're so far gone, they don't have to lie to us, they don't have to camouflage it,
out in the open.
They don't have to dress it up. Like they don't even have, like the prostitute doesn't even have to put on eyeliner anymore. Just show up like in curlers, you know, with a cigar stogie out of her mouth, and she hasn't brushed her teeth in a year. What are you doing tonight, fella? All right. That's essentially what is going on in the culture.
It's a mockery.
It's just the devil is literally in red unitards and pitchforks everywhere you go, belly laughing and pissing himself.
Yeah, it is true. All right, we got to take another quick break, but just again, a reminder, join us tonight. It is 7:45 p.m. Eastern over at BlazeTV.com or the BlazeTV YouTube channel, as long as they keep us up, because you never know with YouTube. We're going to help you make sense of the election results. Promo code is REDWAVE for $30 off. I don't think we have ever offered more than $30 off, so this is the best deal that you are going to get. If you have not yet subscribed, make sure you take advantage of this. And be sure to tweet us with the hashtag BlazeMidterms. I will be reading some of your questions and comments on air, so get those in. Hashtag BlazeMidterms. We'll be right back. District Attorney Brooke Jenkins said she will not turn over Paul Pelosi's attacker, who of course we know is an illegal immigrant, Canadian national David DePape. She will not turn him over to federal authorities for deportation, of course citing San Francisco's immigration sanctuary city status.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm sorry.
Go, Steve, what?
This is just these stories are all so incredulous.
Yeah.
They're insane. They're beyond reason. No one with an IQ above 11 buys any of these narratives at all.
I mean, and they can't course correct once they've realized that they've lost control of the plot. They just keep going, expecting that no one is going to figure it out, even though everyone knows none of it makes any sense. Accordingly, on November 1st, ICE lodged an immigration detainer on DePape, and then accordingly, San Francisco law enforcement is asked to notify ICE prior to his release so that the agency can, of course, take custody and then, I don't know, perhaps eject the illegal immigrants from our country and send them back from where they came. And so, of course, they're fighting that. They're saying San Francisco is a sanctuary city. We can't do that. That would be mean to Paul Pelosi's attacker. And I want to play, speaking of Paul Pelosi's attack and all of the weird, crazy details that keep changing in this story. Every day we hear that there is a new detail that originally came out that, well, they didn't actually have that right the first time. It's changed now. And I want to play for you. Finally, Nancy Pelosi actually spoke on this. She
America
was asked
was waiting.
Yes, she was asked with bated breath even. She was asked by Anderson Cooper, who of course is a very objective journalist who will get to the root of the matter, and he asked her if she agrees with Joe Biden, who compared the attack on her husband to January 6th, and her answer will come as no shock to you. Watch.
President Biden drew a line between what happened on January 6th and the attack on your husband. The president said, I quote, "The assailant entered the home asking, 'Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?' Those were the very same words used by the mob when they stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th.
That's right.
Do you draw that same line?
Absolutely. There's no question. It's the same thing, and copycat or whatever it happens to be, inflamed by the same misrepresentation. But the fact is, right now, it's time for healing. We want the country to heal. This is not a path that we can continue on.
Okay, so two words.
She will rise above.
Is it over?
Not yet.
Steve didn't hear any of it. He was plugging his ears the whole time. God, there's a lot to dissect there from her answer.
She's going to rise above. She's Nancy. Look.
Yeah, the unifying party of the Democrats,
sure.
right?
It's time to get together.
Yeah.
Look, and forget the fact that he's a raging liberal, that he's a nudist, that he's one of them. But we're going to connect it with January 6th for sure. Somehow they'll blame Orange Man for it. Maybe Orange Man tweeted him. Oh, that's right. He's not on Twitter yet. I mean, I don't know, Sarah. It's so preposterous. I'm just going to throw my theory out there. It's not the network's theory. Maybe it was a rent-a-date. Maybe a lover. Maybe a little lover's quarrel.
It's a little lover's quarrel gone wrong.
Lover's quarrel.
Maybe,
where's Nancy? Actually, maybe was said.
That's what he's saying. Where's Nancy? When are you going to tell her about us,
When are you going to tell her about us? You're not leaving her?
Oh, yeah, you just got hammered, but I'm going to show you what hammered really means, Paul.
I'll hammer you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, come on. Please tell me America
why did I
is
do
smart
this show
enough.
today?
Steve said 11, IQ of 11. Come on, we know the average IQ, maybe 85. That's ample enough to look through the facade and the absolute shenanigans of this whole administration, how they can turn on a dime. And you know why they just keep changing stories? Just throw more stories in America. They'll forget what I said 3 days ago. Just give them another one and another one.
Well, sadly, that seems to be working for them.
Yeah.
If we're being serious, we should say two things. Number one, hopefully Paul Pelosi was administered a monkeypox kit after his assault. Okay. The other thing, if we're really trying to be serious this time, there's really only two options. Okay. One option is that the woman who is third in line to the United States presidency has such lax security that her and her family were cosmically given doses of Schadenfreude to be victimized by the very open borders lunacy that they advocate for, okay? And this illegal alien got in through the bathroom window, as the Beatles once sang, all right, to hammer Paul Pelosi or something, I don't know, okay? That's one option. The other option is this is all a lie.
Yes.
To cover up something else. So it's one of those two. Neither one of them are flattering. In general, when people in positions of leadership prefer that you find them to be goofy and incompetent, it's to cover up for things that are actually more embarrassing and malevolent. And I just think there's been I've counted them, 4 stories now out of their corporate media entities. 2 of them from two different ones from NBC News, one from Politico and another one from the local Fox affiliate there. 4 stories that they have come out with in the media and then they've come back later and spike. I've never seen that. I've never seen anything like that on any story in my entire life except for this one. Why? Why are they just uniquely bad at reporting this story, even by their own paltry standards? What's the benign, innocent explanation for that?
I can't think of one. I mean, especially when you go back and you look at, let's say, the NBC News report, the story that they ran it, on air, and it very clearly said the police officer who encountered Paul when Paul answered the door. He answered the door, he wasn't nervous, he didn't seem upset, he literally turned around and walked back towards the assailant, who then later attacked him, right? How would you go about getting that detail so wrong?
It's not wrong. Let's just go to, I always say this, guys, there's a police report. That officer has to file a report. And how often have we not seen, if we actually go back to the police report, it paints a whole different picture. And no, if you're being attacked, Sarah, you don't answer a door, say, "Good evening, officer. Can I help you?"
Yeah, I mean,
let
you
me
get the
usher
hell
you
out
in.
of the
Come walk in the living room. Let me show you
house.
who's back here. I mean,
Right.
you're going kicking and screaming. You're actually outside before the cops get outside.
Right.
You're running, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not staying. If you're being attacked, if he has time to open a door, logically, we're going to open a door, welcome the police, and walk them back.
Right.
You're not in the house by the time the cops come there. If you've got time and you're away from your assailant,
Right.
you're out.
Yeah,
You're gone.
The police don't get that detail
No.
that wrong if it's not what actually happened.
Well,
Unless you call,
it is San Francisco. And to be fair, they're not used to doing a lot of policing there.
That's fair. That is fair. That was probably
Maybe
their-
the academy stepped that step of it's underwear, but maybe it was not.
Yes.
You asked the cop enough time. Are you sure?
Yeah.
It was underwear.
Yeah. How do you feel about your pension, officer?
Do you know
Are you
who,
sure?
Do you know who his wife is number 3 in line? Are you sure it was underwear?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not. Maybe. Can I change my statement?
Right. So I just keep wondering. I mean, the cynic in me, I just don't think that we're ever going to get the full. I
mean, what would ever give you that idea?
Yeah, right. I submitted a FOIA request, for the body cam footage and the 911 call and the police report and also any internal emails that have, Paul or Nancy Pelosi or their address attached to them. And I was just given a response that well, this is an open investigation, so we can't send this to you.
The most important point here of them all is why we care about this.
Yeah.
Lots of families have troubles. My own family's had troubles. Everybody's got dysfunction. Everybody's got black sheep. Some of us have been the dysfunction and the black sheep, right? Some of us have gone out in the world and, as we like to say in Christian circles, built our testimony. Okay?
Yeah.
So none of us here have some sparkling, perfect private life with nothing that we're not ashamed of,
Right.
or we don't want other people to know. The difference was they were going to Jussie Smollett us with this.
Yes.
She would have been on Anderson Cooper and Good Morning America the Monday after. It was clear this was their October surprise, that they were going to say he broke in, it's MAGA country, bitch, and everything
MAGA,
else,
yes.
that this was the plan.
Yeah.
And that the ability to deconstruct this narrative on Twitter, maybe you don't like what Elon Musk is doing, he's not doing it fast enough, but at least the threat that you could actually use that to do real muckraking completely dissolved their narrative that very first weekend. And that's the reason why we care. It's that this has gotten far more coverage than his DUI did. Why?
Yeah.
Because they tried to use this to smear us. They were going to try to use this to tag all of us before the election. And so that's why we're so fixated on it, is because of what you were really going to do with this story.
Yeah, that's a great point. I feel like obviously that was their intention, but I feel like if that's the case, you probably don't pick a radical nudist hemp jewelry maker to try to paint as the crazy conservative.
The pickings are a little slim. But
in San Francisco.
Yes.
Sarah, if the other side has no recourse, right? You can't fact check and verify through social media.
Right.
And they're so used to us not having a voice, then it really doesn't matter.
Right.
Pick the nudist, pick whoever.
Right.
Just run with the story, and they got to drink it. And now this time it backfired, and that's why you see them pivot, and recant 4 or 5. They'll go 10 stories deep. They won't stop.
Agreed.
With this.
Yep.
That's why. It's because maybe some balance is coming back, into the conversation.
Yeah, I hope. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Did you see the interview with Elon saying that he's going to execute on these?
Yesterday, Senator Ted Cruz was hit with a beer can during the Houston Astros World Series victory parade. Here's some of that. There he is. He's on a truck in the parade. Someone just launches a beer can at him. And the Houston Police Department said it took a 33-year-old man into custody after the incident, and he will face assault charges. This is not just one isolated incident of violence from the left as we gear up into these midterms. This comes after Kari Lake's campaign. Obviously, they received suspicious packages in the mail, a white substance that one of the campaign workers opened up in an envelope, which of course prompted an FBI investigation. Last week, Republican New Hampshire Senate candidate dodged a punch from a would-be assailant before stepping on stage to debate And then what was it? Lee Zeldin. Well, Lee Zeldin also almost got stabbed, right?
Yes,
like the guy tried to stab him.
Yeah.
But then just at one of Kathy Hochul's events, Lee Zeldin.
Choking?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to call her a Republican because I don't even know if she's a Republican.
Yeah.
She's just saying we need someone else because the crime is too much,
This
right?
is the black woman that got choked?
Yes, the black woman who got choked by a white man in New York. I don't recall seeing that on the front page of CNN.com or MSNBC or hearing Don Lemon talk about how, white supremacy and white men are the biggest terroristic threat to this country. I don't recall him bringing that to the table when it's a Democrat white man who's assaulting and choking a black woman. But it's just all freaking over the place, all of this leftist violence, and they'll turn around and tell you that you're the violent one because of the insurrection. January 6th was the worst day.
I don't want to be a broken record. The people that we vote for tonight, when they take office, they have to punish this. To quote a very famous Texan, Lyndon Johnson, power is where power goes. You can have all the titles you want.
Right.
You can have all the authority you claim. If you don't use any of it, you don't have any of it.
Yeah.
Okay? Take the power and authority vested in you. Our colleague Daniel Horowitz told me this morning that one of his associates in DeSantis' office told him that their plan beginning tomorrow, if they win by anything close to the margin they think they're going to win by, is that he's already told the administration for the second term, we will conduct, and I quote, a Sherman's March through the institutions of this state and vanquish these people so they're gone and they'll be gone long after I'm gone. That's what this requires.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That it doesn't require, there's a place for messaging. I mean, I used to do it professionally, but unless it's to set up an action, and that action has to be something other than chants at your rally. Okay? I mean, we can't do the whole thing we did for 4 years, which was let's gin up their base and get them all fired up, then not follow through. So we've depressed our base while at the same time we've max lit theirs. Okay, I want to hear the lamentations of their women. We're like Klingons; we don't take prisoners. Okay, and then in Leviticus, God never gives the Jews the law, never gives them the dimensions for building a prison. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
There's no dimensions for building prison in Leviticus. The idea we're just going to indefinitely detain. No, we're not. We're going to remove you, okay? So it is time. It is time for Daddy to take the children behind the woodshed, okay, to take his belt off and to administer some corporal punishment in the political sense. It has to happen now, or I fear where this will go next. Next time, they won't be throwing beer bottles or beer cans. They'll be throwing Molotovs. This has to be punished now.
Yeah.
And Steve, to that point is why I stand on, we need a long, consistent, strong arm of the law. We don't need a quick hit. This is not how you eradicate evil. You need to go hunt it. You need to hunt evil because it roots itself deep in the crevices of a culture, and you have to go hunt it out. You got to search it, march through it, go search it. All you accomplices, all of you, by name, we're going to go find you. We're going to pluck you out and let the arm of the law, the Pelosi's, the Fauci's, all of them, every single one of them. And then you have to sustain it with the next 4 years of a presidential election and the following 4 years to reset this country. You don't do it in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. This is going to take work. You know, you build character, you break it in a second. They've broken this nation. It's going to take...
The social compact is dead.
Yes. It's going to take a decade to truly get us to where we want America to be.
Correct.
The America we see in our eyes, you don't do it by 2024. No, you sustain. You put your foot on the throat of the tiger and you don't let go.
Yeah. I want to switch gears here. Obviously, it is election day because you're not living under a rock, so you already know that. But it just felt like right and just to have a little grand finale of confronting our good friend of the program, Robert Francis O'Rourke. And I ventured out to one of the polling locations where he was with Alex Stein and investigative journalist Taylor Hanson, where we spent a lot of time asking him once again to disavow the genital mutilation of children and surgeries for what they would call trans kids. And of course, no answer from Robert Francis O'Rourke. And he started to leave, and we decided to ask him if he would finally give up after he loses tonight. And here's that exchange.
There she is. There's our girl.
Are you quitting after the trifecta of failures?
Are you going to quit after you fail today?
Are you going to give back the money that you wasted?
Are you going to say that you feel sorry for the money you wasted?
Again, no response from the Beto campaign. But we'll eventually get a response whenever we see them in court for the pending lawsuit. So I want to really quickly, look, the polling looks very good for Abbott. Once, I'm just going to say, if that plays out, which we see no reason why it wouldn't, is he actually, what does Beto O'Rourke do next?
He's screwed.
Yeah.
He's a white male. Like Stacey Abrams,
he's toast.
Look at the amount of grift she made claiming an election she lost by more than 50,000 votes was stolen from her.
Right.
Can you imagine the amount of cash she's going to reel in, man? The amount of bank she's going to make for losing by 250,000 votes? Like, like she's black and female.
Right.
Her future on the victim circuit is very lucrative, all right? But Beto, despite the claims of Hispanic origin, is, everyone can see, as a white male, he's done. He's toast.
Yeah,
it sucks for him. Yeah.
There's nowhere else he can go.
No.
He just has to fade into oblivion, maybe move to California where they want you. I don't know, but we don't want you here. And this should be a very emphatic closing of that chapter of Beto's life running for office. I read I think it was a Washington Post that said that he has spent the last 1,100 of the last 2,000 days of his life campaigning for something. How wild is that?
But I'll say this. This is a man who is his own God. And so he loves himself more than anything else. So I don't think he goes away. I agree with Steve. Politically, he's fried. But he'll resurface somewhere in some lower level. I don't know. Maybe he can run a liberal lemonade stand, on Sepulveda in Los Angeles. I don't know.
Adjunct poli-sci professor at some
exactly.
left-wing school.
He
No
probably
kidding.
ends up at UCLA or Brown or Pepperdine, somewhere there, and where they adore him and he gets his ego fixed. That's probably what happens.
Praise
honestly.
on the co-ed population.
Exactly.
Right. He can ride skateboards all he wants. Right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I love it so much. He tried so hard to make himself. Jimmy Kimmel's irrelevant wife took the stage last night to let everyone know that, in case you didn't know, killing babies is on the ballot, and we have to fight for the right to kill them. Watch.
I'm sounding the alarm, Jimmy.
I didn't know we had an alarm.
Oh, we do. I didn't either. It was backstage.
Okay. Why are you sounding an alarm you found backstage?
Because tomorrow is Election Day, and abortion rights are gone or in danger in 26 states, even though the overwhelming majority of this country supports a woman's right to choose.
If they did, it would be an issue for your party, and it's not. You can't run on it.
Every time you have sex, is your intention to have a baby?
No. I just wait till you eat a gummy and then try to snuggle in.
That question was for them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
First of all, I don't understand how these people are still on TV. They're not funny. But second of all, okay, whenever you have sex, you do realize that could be a natural consequence of the sex that you're having, right? Like, you should be pretty clear on that. So maybe just don't have the sex or use some protection during that sex, and you won't have the consequences of a baby that you then go and murder while it's still in the womb, wanting to be protected by its mother. Because, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like babies don't want to be killed.
But see, Sarah, the God they serve, meaning Satan, doesn't believe in consequence.
That's fair. Steve, last word.
They literally ran on choose systemic collapse to maintain systemic child sacrifice. That's their platform.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that works out for him tonight. We hope you'll join us. See you there.
So burn, baby, burn.